and other plans for the newly elected leadership in Mpumalanga. We're joined by the chairperson, Mandla Ndlovu, who has just assumed his position. Mr. Ndlovu, thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the man whom you share a name with, Mandla Msibi. What is his future in the leadership of the ANC in Mpumalanga? And I ask you this question based on what a national leader said to me yesterday, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, that they were quote-unquote shocked to see Mandla Msibi elected whilst at the same time facing the courts for very serious crimes that he allegedly committed.
Yeah, you see, in the ANC, there's a role that is always played by the membership. We have developed our own guideline as an organization where branches are expected to nominate candidates that they want to serve in structures of the ANC. So most of our structures, they consider so deeply maybe only talents. They don't combine the two, talents and morality. So Comrade Mandla was nominated by branches, reached the threshold when we were in the conference. After getting some signals that it may happen that we will get a threshold, I interacted with our TG to get an advice. He just said to me, Comrade Mandla, you must engage with Comrade the other Mandla, you must engage with him, you must know that there is this policy of stepping aside. And what is good is that by that time, Comrade Mandla voluntarily decided to step aside. So there was that gray area that if you reached a threshold, what is it that you must do as an organization if you are requested to accept or reject the nomination?
Yeah.
So that was the problem. But finally, we thought that we were going to get a guidance from the NEC officials. We are happy that we got that guidance. But according to the understanding of the PEC, is that even without that letter, on Sunday, according to our understanding, was that the step aside is automatic. And if you are elected in a position while you are facing criminal charges like this one, then you have to step aside. And Mandla on Sunday, I interacted with him. He accepted even before he received the letter that he knows, because was part of Nazareth, that if you are affected, then you have to step aside, and they step aside.
All right. You know, I want to quickly move from this subject, but I can't do that without looking back at what you used there, saying there's a difference between talent and morality, and this is what ANC branch members were possibly faced with when they decided to endorse and ultimately elect Mandla Msibi. So does that assume that he's a talented leader who, if cleared, will obviously have to assume his role? Is that the understanding?
Yeah, that is the understanding. That is not stepping down, is stepping aside, unless if will be advised by the NEC officials. Because our engagement was that the ANC NEC is going to guide all of us in the country. So we are just waiting for the NEC to guide us on this one.
You know what this does, Mr. Ndlovu? It takes me back to the words of the former president of the ANC, who was in the Free State not so long ago, Thabo Mbeki, raising the question about quality over quantity in the ANC. The branch members of the ANC who took this extraordinary step of electing someone who is facing such serious charges, does it talk to that element that the former president referred to, that ANC members or the ANC ranks structures at the moment may be filled with people who are of poor quality as opposed to people who are discerning in their thinking and therefore decision-making. Where do you stand on this argument about whether or not the ANC should conduct some kind of audit in order to rid itself of the quantity so that the quality remains?
We're a liberation movement come government. Our features are the same features of all the liberation movements come government. After liberation, you will have so many members that are joining the ANC and other liberation movements. So we have got so many members that are joining this organization. At a certain stage, we took a decision that we must recruit 1 million houses, not houses, 1 million, I'm repeating houses. I don't understand why when I engage with you, always I'm talking about houses. It means that that decision that we took, that we want to build 1 million houses, is always in my mind. But we took a decision that we want to recruit 1 million members. So when we recruit these 1 million members, some of these members are joining the ANC with ulterior motives. They've got their own interests. They have got their own secondary interests instead of the primary interest. So we have got so many members, but we did not prioritize political education. So we took a clear decision as an organization that we are going to prioritize political education. We must build the political consciousness of our members so that we'll have or convert this quantitative membership, as Comrade Mbeki said, into quality. So we understand that we have got so many members that some of them, they don't even understand the ANC, and even sometimes some of these members are even occupying key positions in the ANC.
Yeah. Let me pick on another subject, Mr. Ndlovu, and that talks to what some will always say is the struggle between the two centers of power. Do you believe in Mpumalanga right now that there could be a so-called two centers of power? To explain it simply, you are the chairperson, and the person who occupies the position of premier is not the chairperson of the ANC, but it's a member of the party who sits, though, on the executive of the ANC in Mpumalanga. Do you think that Mpumalanga might struggle with the so-called two centers of power, or is that not even up for discussion right now?
I don't believe in the two centers of power. My understanding is that we have got one center and so many centers of services. So the center is the ANC. We all derive our mandate from the ANC, so we don't have two centers. And I want to assure our members and also the people of this province that they must know that I really don't support disruption of the term of office of our leaders, starting from national. I did not support the disruption of the term of office of Comrade President Mbeki and also of Comrade President Zuma. So it means that here in the province, I will not even initiate that discussion. We are guaranteeing the premier that she will work as a premier of the province up until the term of office. So there will be no disruption of the term of office of the premier.
Well, that's a very decisive step and a very interesting one indeed, which talks to the maturity that perhaps some say is lacking in the ANC. But having said that, once the term of office of the current premier has come to an end, do you have ambitions of being premier of Mpumalanga? And I ask this because a recent article told us that you are an unemployed person who doesn't even draw a salary in the ANC as chairperson.
Yeah, that is true that I am unemployed, but I'm a professional. So I will be reading newspapers now to see advert. I'm going to put my application. The ANC is going to decide my future. But we can't talk about our life beyond 2024. The ANC is going to decide who's going to be the premier, but I'm not that ambitious that I will parade myself as the premier of the province. No, the ANC is going to decide. I don't see myself being the premier of the province. Otherwise, I will start to walk just like a premier. So I'm not going to do that. I will support the current leadership that has been deployed by the ANC.
Final question to you, Mr. Ndlovu. The relationship between the ANC and its alliance partner in Mpumalanga, the SACP, some people carrying the view that it's always been on shaky ground. How would you describe your relationship right now?
It's very cordial. I hope that you still remember that historic meeting that we had here in the province where a comrade president, by that time he was a deputy president, they came here to try and assist us to mend our relationship with the alliance. Since that time, our relationship has been very good. We have got joint programs. Always they invite us. We also invite them to our meetings. We manage our own contradictions and structures, but we influence one another in terms of taking decisions. So we're working very well. Their secretary is even the MEC. For the first time, we have an MEC coming from the SACP. So our working relationship with the alliance is very superb.
Okay, all right. Let's end it with this final question, and very briefly, if you can, talking about relationships. What is the province's relationship with the recent chairperson? Because you would have been an interim chairperson up until that structure was done away with until your election now. The person who chaired that province for a long time was David Mabuza, who's the deputy president now. The understanding is that he was not invited, quote unquote, to this conference of Mpumalanga. Why was that decision taken, if indeed it was a decision taken to not invite him?
Hey, it was I think we discussed this matter at length with also our deployees, because our understanding was that Comrade DP is a deputy president. If and they wanted to deploy him to the conference, I think they should have deployed him as a deputy president to come and address. You can't deploy a treasurer to a conference to address while you have just the deputy president sitting there. So our understanding was that we must give space to deputy presidents just to concentrate on other tasks of the organization. So my relationship with Comrade DP is very fine. We have been working together for quite some time. People don't know that the person that introduced me to structures here, when we came back from the bomb, that is Comrade DP. So we're working very well. We're interacting. Even when we're preparing this conference, we were interacting with Comrade DP. So it's just a dream that a DP that resides in Mpumalanga will not have a very good relationship with the chairperson of the ANC. We always have that cordial relationship and that respect between myself and the DP. So we are going to thank people in Muslim that we will continue to work with Comrade DP. His advice is always welcome in the province.